Is San Diego the right move for you? Well, we're going to get into some things that we've seen with clients moving out here, what we see living here. So let you know, or actually help you decide if San Diego is the right spot for you. So let's get into it right now.
First off, what is your reason? We hear a lot of different reasons for folks moving out here, whether it be work, new opportunities, family, friends. But the big one we hear, kind of the overwhelming majority, is definitely weather. And weather leads to outdoor activities. It leads to being able to be, doing sports and anything you want to do outside year round. And that is a big part of the reason that people want to move out this way.
Yeah, you see, like you would expect to move out here, sunny all the time. Well, it's not, but like that's the kind of stuff we complain about. It's been gray for...
It's like 68 and gray right now. Awful.
Just the worst, yeah. But for you're not gonna get like any of those big snowstorms, obviously. It doesn't get too cold. And so people coming from elsewhere, they just look at us like wimps. We're like, when it gets to 64 degrees,
he's in a parka.
Oh, dude. I'm throwing on my Patagonia jacket. I get cold, man. But for the most part, it's exactly what you would expect. You're going to get some beautiful days throughout. Like, how many Christmases have we had where it's just like beautiful out? My family does Thanksgiving at the beach a lot. So end of November, and it's just, it has got rain sometimes too, but go to the campgrounds and it's just these beautiful days. Sometimes it's 80 degrees during, late November time. It's just, yeah, it's San Diego. So you're not going to be disappointed with that. Like I said, there's not too many surprises on that front.
And with that is that active lifestyle. San Diego is definitely well known for that. There's a ton of hiking. There's a ton of terrain. As you can see behind us, there's mountains everywhere, hills everywhere here in San Diego. So if you like getting outside and hiking, going for runs, cycling is huge out here, surfing obviously, boogie boarding, all that stuff.
It's not all surfers out here either.
We'll
touch on that in a little bit.
Yeah, but pretty much any activity you could think of outside, you can do here in San Diego, aside from skiing and snowboarding.
You could shoot up to, there's a few mountains. Nothing, like if you go up to Big Bear, yeah, you could ski and snowboard up there. It's kind of packed. It's a tiny mountain, but it is an option. It's good for little staycations and stuff. It's probably 2.5 hours.
Yep, but then you get to drive away from it and not be in the snow.
Yeah, Mammoth is kind of like our big mountain that a lot of people go to, where it's like, big old ski resort kind of thing.
And so kind of just to give you an idea of where, we've lived in San Diego most of our lives, but we have done little stints in different spots. I lived in San Francisco for 4 or 5 years. The Bay Area is really well known for microclimates. We have different climates here, coastal, inland, mountains, deserts, but it's not like super micro, like where you're in San Francisco. In downtown San Francisco, it could be 75 and sunny and beautiful, and then you drive down south to like Daly City area, and it can be socked in and feel like it's raining and 60 degrees. We don't get a ton of that here. A little bit like when the coast stays foggy, you see a little bit of it, but not as extreme as the Bay Area.
In my only stint out of San Diego, moved up to Tahoe for a year, which was fantastic, by the way. But snow, that was like my first time waking up and having to dig snow off my car. And we lived up there probably, I think, about 5 months. It was kind of that actual winter season where you're digging your car out and stuff. We had some epic storms. You don't have to deal with that here. Like, I think in all the time I've lived here, which is my whole life, this little bug is bugging me, but we do have a few bugs. But the whole time I've lived here, it hasn't, maybe like you have a little bit of ice on your windshield once ever.
Yeah, once, yeah.
Once a year.
Yeah.
No, less than that for sure. But other than that, it's exactly what you're going to expect. And while the weather isn't unexpected, honestly, if you've been here, you've visited here, there's not too much unexpected things that are going to pop up when you move out here. But one thing is, we're not a sports city. So if you're like a big sports hawk, you are actually going to find people that are from where you are. Like, I got a buddy from Philly who finds his tribe everywhere he goes. I've seen more Eagles games with him than I had, well, I don't watch the Chargers anymore, but in recent history, like I guess I'm an Eagles fan right now. But nonetheless, there's, we got the Padres. We do have MLS soccer team coming to San Diego here pretty soon. There's a few little other divisions and stuff. You got the Goals and whatnot. But as far as a sports city, there's not too much of that. Like I said, but if you want to go support your team, go to a Padres game. And a lot of times your fans, wherever you're from, are going to show up pretty good at that game.
Take over.
Yeah. Even like, especially before this year, before the Padres had some big money behind them, the city kind of jumped in, sold out every time. A little more enthusiasm behind the pods.
You do have the Aztecs for football,
Yeah.
which is they have a huge following. They're usually pretty good.
And a brand new stadium too, Snapdragon Stadium right down there as well, which is, I haven't been to a game yet, but we're gonna make it down there.
So even though we don't have a ton of professional sports here, sports are huge here in San Diego. That sport culture is definitely here. Youth sports are enormous. You've got soccer, you've got baseball, you've got lacrosse, you've got Friday Night Lights, FNL football, you've got jiu-jitsu, a whole bunch of other things here locally too that are huge. And the big kind of takeaway from
Adult league softball.
Adult league softball
that's what we're
also. So the big takeaway though is that you can play them year round. So a lot of people, like my kids play soccer in the spring, baseball in the spring, soccer in the fall, baseball in the fall. They play year round. There's little breaks here and there, but for the most part, they're always active and out playing a sport. And in a lot of places, you don't get to do that. If you're in Minnesota, you're not playing baseball in November. That's just not happening unless you're in like an arena or something. Or like we've had clients that moved out from Washington where their spring baseball season was like 2 games because it got rained out for the whole spring. So here you're not going to have that, and there's a ton of really good organizations here in San Diego as well to get your kids out playing sports. And adults playing sports.
And adults, yeah. And as you're watching this, if you do decide that San Diego is the place for you to move, just as a quick reminder, we are the Beach Life Group right here in San Diego. And if you're thinking about moving out here, hit us up. Get that conversation rolling. We'll hop on a Zoom call, really dive into all these neighborhoods and figure out which spot in San Diego is best for you. All our info is popping up right now. Whatever, call, text, email. We're the guys who get back to you. It's mostly Cassidy, but I'm on there too sometimes. But anyways, hit us up. We got your back when making the move here to San Diego.
So school districts might be something you're taking into consideration when moving out this way. And for the most part, San Diego as a whole has really good public school education. Area dependent, like some are a little better than others, but public schools in general, you're gonna have a really good opportunity. We have helped a lot of clients move out this way, and the majority have their kids go to public schools. Our kids go to public schools. So that is a great option, and there's great opportunity here if you're moving from a place that doesn't have that high of an education system. But there also are other options. There's charter schools, there's private schools, there's homeschooling. There are a lot of other options here in San Diego as well.
And as you're searching around, whatever it might be, Zillow, Redfin, Compass, whatever the app you're using, a lot of times when you're searching, you're gonna find some awesome houses. And since you don't necessarily, unless you've lived here before, you don't know the area, but you like the house. Okay, now let's spread out to the neighborhood, what's going on there. But a lot of times on there, they're gonna show the school ratings, and don't necessarily base your decision on that. Dive in a little bit more and just really see what these schools are all about. Go onto their websites, call the schools. Just because it has a lower rating doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad school. In San Diego, being in the bottom left section of the United States, the very, very, very southwest, you might think that's kind of far from like cool places to go, travel, to go check out, vacations, whatever. But there's also, there are a lot of cool little spots to hit up. You got Palm Springs, which is, we go out probably once or twice a year. Definitely if you go during the summer, you're gonna get great rates because it gets scorching hot out there. But it's a cool spot. You got this guy, where do you go a lot?
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Yep.
Straight flights from here, which is
Yep.
nice. So if you've like wanted to go to Hawaii, you live in the East Coast, it's only like a 6-hour flight.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, right around 6 hours, and like Chris said, direct from San Diego Airport to all the islands.
Yeah. We got Catalina Island, which is just a little island off the coast. Once again, a little staycation spot out there. You do have another spot you go, Disneyland right up the road.
Yep.
Get some season passes. You could hop up there anytime you like. Quick flight to Vegas. Like there's a lot of spots where you could get pretty darn quick. Even if you did want to go to like big skiing mountains, you want to go to Denver, you want to go to Salt Lake and go ski out there, it's only a few hour flight from here too. So we don't have, obviously the mountains aren't great right around here, but hop on the same amount of flight it's going to take you to get to Big Bear, and you're going to be at some awesome spots too. So there are a bunch of cool spots right around San Diego you get to pretty darn quickly.
But if you are trying to go more international, if you like traveling to the Caribbean and things like that, there are a lot of options either out of San Diego or a lot of direct flights if you go 2.5 hour drive up to LAX as well. So one of the things you're thinking about also is taxes. California is very well known for being on the higher side for like state income tax and some of those things, but property taxes is something you can just know right off the bat it's 1% of your purchase price. Some neighborhoods it's a little bit higher if you've got Melrose and things like that, but for the most part it's right around that 1% mark, and it can only increase by 2% every year, so that's not a huge number. Obviously our prices are a little higher here, so that might seem big, but it is something you kind of know going in, as that's going to be your number and it's not going to change a whole lot as you go on.
And we're not even in the top 10 of highest income, or no, highest, we're probably in the top 10 highest income, highest of top 10 property taxes. The most recent one that I looked at, we're ranked number 16 as far as the highest property taxes in the United States. And now getting into the vibe. Obviously, if you're living out here, you're gonna be part of that vibe. So you wanna know what it's all about. It's not all beach bums, it's not all surf bros. If you've seen our videos, our studio videos, I have a surfboard in the back. I honestly don't use it that much. My buddy from Philly, who I was talking about earlier, he's more of a surfer than I am at this point. I grew up, I've been surfing for 20 years, so I've had some time in the water. But nonetheless, it's not all like that. You have people from all over the place doing all different things. I got another buddy from Austin. He's just joined like this biking crew, not like, like biker gang, but like, cycling crew. They go all over the place. We're in Carlsbad right now. There's a bunch of trails where you can cruise through here too.
And we've had clients too where their biggest driving force is being able to go to the beach, even if it's not going to surf or anything like that, but just having it is a beautiful vantage from a lot of places, a place to walk, a place to go down the boardwalk. It's just great having it around.
Yeah, sunsets.
Killer.
Beautiful. Like, yeah, it's I like, growing up, you see sunsets when you go check out the beach sunsets, but I went to dinner the other night at Chart House, which is right in Cardiff, right at sunset time, and it's the first time I've watched the sunset in a long time. It was rad. I was like, this is San Diego. This is what it's all about right here. I'll see if I could throw a picture up right now because it was beautiful.
Go to Instagram 5 minutes after the sun sets, and it's a killer one, and you'll see a million photos. You don't even have to see it yourself. So it's not only beaches, there's a ton of other activities that people get into. You'll find your own vibe, you'll find your own tribe within San Diego. And if you are thinking about moving out this way, check out the next video that's popping up and learn a little bit more about San Diego.